Hi, I'm Yatin, and the title of my research is Design of Energy Storage System for Motorsports based on the statistical analysis of the mission profile. For this research, I studied three different categories of motorsports spread across six different racing events. The first one being the Formula E racing, and the second one, go karts. The third one, the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. The fourth one, the Isle of Man TT. And the fifth one, the Venturi Buckeye Bullet. And the sixth one, the Vaux and Wortman. For the purpose of this presentation, I'll be just focusing on the Formula E discharge, Formula E profile. This slide presents the vehicle parameters that I've used for these vehicles. For studying these vehicles, the first one is the Formula E, which is 900 kilogram vehicle with a maximum speed of 280 kilometers per hour. The maximum energy of the pack is 54 kilowatt hour, and the maximum power that the vehicle can deploy is 250 kilowatts. The duty cycle for the Formula E car is can be seen on the top left hand corner of the screen. This duty cycle is just for one lap, and a similar profile is repeated 33 times to complete the race lap. I developed a generalized methodology to study the data and compare the data for all of the mission profiles. The first step was to acquire data from different sources, as these racing events are conducted by different racing teams and different governing bodies. So the data is not publicly available. The second step was to analyze the power profile to determine the quality of the data and the step size of the data. It was important to do this step to create a generalized algorithm to process all of the data and to apply the metrics that are defined to compare all of the racing profiles. The metrics helped me in performing pack sizing to design that battery pack by helping me to choose a chemistry and then perform thermal analysis using the results from the metrics as well as the power profile to choose an appropriate thermal management system and estimate the weight of the pack, specific energy, and specific power for that battery pack. So the purpose of this generalized methodology is that anyone, any engineer who's developing a battery pack can develop a battery pack for any kind of racing series just by having a simulation of the mission profile for a racing event. So the metrics that are defined are as follows. The first one is C rate, which is power at the given point at a given time divided by total energy consumed. The continuous C rate is assumed as the mean C rate observed for a duty cycle. The peak C rate or a pulse is the C rate which is greater than the continuous C rate with the time with the duration of the pulse being over zero point 0.2 seconds. The C rate occurrence is the number of peaks observed for a duty cycle. The mean peak C rate is the mean of the maximum C rate that occurs for a duty cycle. And the peak C rate duration is the duration of a pulse. The mean C rate duration is the mean of the peak C rate duration, and the energy percentage is the energy consumed in a given C rate range or a power range divided by total energy multiplied by 100, and the power percentage is the power is normalized power multiplied by 100. So getting into the Formula E, the data was provided by Canopy Simulations Limited, which is the simulation software provider for the Formula E racing, and they provided me with the Marrakesh E race data. The race is 33 lap long with the simulated driver driving the car. Um, the car uses a total of 50 or the total 54 kilowatt hour of energy to complete this lap. The track is 2.94 kilometers long with the maximum speed achieved during the simulation of 123.36 kilometers per hour with an average lap time of 84.452 seconds. Comparing these average speeds and average lap time to real life data from the season 5, it can be seen that the simulation is a good representative of real life racing. For the simulation, it is assumed that the car is always moving, and ignoring the race start as well as the pit stops. So, analyzing the duty cycle for most of the duration of the race, almost 50% of the duration of the race, the car remains in the 90 to 100% power range bracket. And the average discharge power is 117 kilowatts, and the average charge or energy recuperation happens at 51.54 kilowatts. Another interesting thing to observe here is that the car is deploying more power, more energy in the 90 to 100% range than the car is capable of. It's deploying more over 100% energy. So this shows that it is really important to recuperate energy in order to complete the race. The car uh, deploys 62.41 kilowatt hour of energy just in the 90 to 100% bracket, not even accounting in the energy consumed between 0 to 90% bracket. So that just shows the importance of energy recuperation here. So applying these metrics to the race profile, the total the maximum C rate observed was 3.7 C with a continuous C rate of 2.16 C. The duration at which the maximum C rate happens is around 8.5 seconds. So if I'm choosing a cell that for designing a battery pack for this application, it should at least have a sustained continuous C rate. That means it should be able to be discharged for at 2.16 C continuously for an indefinite time period, and should be capable of at 4C discharges at for at least 10 seconds. Um, Looking at the charging profile, which is the negative, it should be able to be charged at 1C continuous with peaks of at least 4C. The the maximum the charge C rate was observed, the maximum charge pulse was observed for almost 2 seconds, which is pretty normal for most of the cell chemistries that are available in market. So any good cell from a reputed manufacturer should be able to sustain the charge profile, but the discharge profile is the biggest problem here. So the peaks occur for almost 250 times between the 2.5 and 4C bracket, and there are no peaks between 2 and 3C, and the total time for which the pulses occur is almost half of the race. So, which means the car is in really high power deployment zone, as seen earlier, for most of the duration of the race, which means the cell chemistry should be able to sustain those power demands. So, from this analysis and the model of the cells that were available to car, I chose these three different cells which satisfy the continuous C rate and the pulse C discharge for the power profile, and did some pack sizing from which I came to a conclusion that I would need over almost 4,664 cells with 212S 22P configuration to design a pack that would satisfy the performance criteria for a Formula E car, with the weight of the pack being somewhere between 274 kilograms to 306 kilograms, depending on the thermal management system and the housing that I will choose. And the temperature for a single qualifying lap can be seen on the figure on the right, as it rises from 25 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius in just 80 seconds. So the cell satisfies these criteria since it can be used for this particular application. And then I did the similar analysis for different racing series to determine which kind of cell can be used for that series and in what configuration. Thank you so much for listening.